Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Went with the headphones today to help me be a little bit more focused since we are having a fun little interview today. Really excited about this interview. And it looks like Lambent Crochet, that is Jodi, is here. And so I just wanted to remind everyone who's joining in, this is Pink Sheep and Friends 2022. Had to put these off for a little while with our move and just the holidays and all of that, but super excited to get these started again. And I think these are going to be more like a pop-up thing. I do think it's a little bit easier for me to work with the people that I'm interviewing to pick a time that works best for them. Versus having them have to come on during one of my regularly scheduled lives. So it's probably going to be a mix. I may have some on during my regular lives, and I may have some people who join me at a different time like today. So Wednesday live. But let's see if we can bring Jodi on. Let's see. Oh, yay!
Hi.
Hey, and everybody can hear, you can hear me, right? Because I'm sitting here talking like, I hope everybody can hear me since I'm using the headphones. Good morning,
Hi.
afternoon.
Afternoon. What's okay?
Yeah, what time is it there again?
One
As you
o'clock.
try to take a sip. Oh, so it's late. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you're behind. Yeah, okay, cool. So I was like, some people it might be 11 now, or is that right? I don't even know. I can't do time zones. I just know which one I'm in.
Oh, how are you?
Oh, yeah, take your sip.
Mm.
So super excited to have Jodi joining me today. And this is the second time we've gotten to chat. Just so you guys know, I do try to actually chat with whoever I'm interviewing first because I want us to actually meet for the first time, not just on the live. So that's kind of cool because, it feels a little bit more comfortable, I think, for everyone because we've already had a chance to kind of chat a little bit. But Jodi, I would love for you to just take a second, just introduce yourself. Like,
Okay.
who are you? If someone's not following you, what do you do? Where are you from? All of that fun stuff.
Sure. Okay. Well, thanks, Evelyn. I'm
Yes.
Jodi. Thank you so much for having me. I've been publicly putting my crochet designs out there for a couple years now. It's been a whirlwind. I love it. Huge learning curve, but it is a lot of fun. I started off in fine arts, so I used to sell paintings and prints, and then in my third pregnancy, it was a little bit rough, and I really started to focus more on crochet. It was a lot easier to do, and with the renovations we were undergoing at home, it was something that I can kind of move in small places around, so it was really convenient. But yeah, I was making stuff for I guess craft shows and such, and then orders became too much, and then I've always kind of done like freehand stuff, and I was making my own designs like pretty much from the beginning, and then after a while I couldn't keep up with orders, and I decided to put designs out there full time, and that's where I'm at now. I'm in Ontario, Canada, so it's pretty cold here right now. A lot of snow. I don't know, it's fun up here, but this is my first live, so I'm a little nervous.
Woo!
Apologize
Don't
for
be
the
nervous.
jitters, but
Yes.
I have
Don't
my
be
tea to
nervous.
help calm
Yes.
myself.
I would love to know where you are in Canada. What is the summer like? Like, do you have a long summer or is it like is it usually cold most of the year or how is that
It's
where you are?
hot. It's so hot in the
Okay.
summer. Like we'll get like 45-degree days, but I don't know what it is in Fahrenheit, but it's like
Yeah.
it's incredibly hot. Like
Okay.
it starts getting hot, I guess May, and then
hmm
there's been even times we're at the beach at like in October. There's been
hmm
like days like that. So I mean, I think it's pretty like we're like Eastern Ontario, so it's kind of I don't know, it's Ottawa, so it's not
Yeah.
too far up north. So, but there is definitely all four seasons.
Yeah.
We get a good mix of it. Winter tends to feel like it lasts forever, but
Yeah.
I don't know. The summer is pretty hot and lasts for a while.
And I feel like here, because right now it's pretty cold, and it's actually kind of nice because I make so much chunky stuff, and people are like, I don't understand, like you live in the South, like it doesn't get cold enough. I was like, oh, it gets cold enough. for me, you know, like I'm always cold. So
Mhm.
I guess that's why, and I've even thought this year I was like, usually when summer comes around, I really have to think about what to make because I don't make the lighter stuff, you know? Um, and I was like, maybe I'll just make cold weather stuff year round and then they can, people can just wear them when it does get cold, you know?
Why not? For sure.
So I do have a list of questions because that keeps me a little bit more focused, just to make sure that I cover stuff. And anyone who's listening in now, feel free to pop questions in the question box. So there is a little question box down at the bottom of your screen. It looks like a little comment with a question mark on the inside. You can put questions in there, if you would like to ask me or Jodi anything while we're here live. Um, but I do want to find out, how did you start crocheting or knitting, and how has that journey been from, you talked a little bit about it, but the journey from, when you learned to how that has evolved into where you are now with designing patterns.
Okay. Well, I first started picking up knitting when I was about 8. My mom taught me, and we used to sit and knit. And I remember still going into, at the time, it was a white rose. That's what, like, it's like R. Jones from way back when, like in the
Mhm.
90s. I remember going in there and getting this big, chunky, bright purple yarn. And I just, like, would sit at home and, like, knit. It was
Oh.
nothing like major, but I always dabbled in it since I was really young. And then I didn't try crochet though until in my 20s,
Mhm.
like when I was pregnant.
Yeah.
So a while ago, I don't know, like I don't know, I guess about 8 years ago, 7 years
Hmm.
ago. But yeah, I just remember seeing a post on like a Facebook craft group, and it was someone's crocheted piece, and I just loved the texture, and
Hmm.
it was just so beautiful. I'm like, I have to learn how to do this, so
Yeah.
I just taught myself, and then
Hmm.
I started making things for friends, and then the craft fairs, and then orders were too much, so I decided
Yep.
to just go into the designing side, and that's pretty much, I guess.
Did you follow many patterns when you started crocheting?
Um, I think I followed 3. I think there was only 3 that I
The fact
honestly
that you
like.
know how
Yeah, I
many.
remember like there was one hat, and then there was a headband, a cabled headband that I really
Uh-huh.
loved, and then there was a shawl.
Yeah.
That was it. There was just like the shawl was a very basic granny stitch shawl, like
Hmm.
triangle shawl, and yeah, and the headband was a basic beanie. I mean, the hat was a basic beanie, and then yeah, the cabled
Hmm.
headband, and then I was just freehanding stuff. I wish I
Yep.
had photos, but like the first freehand I made was for my daughter, and it was this cute beanie with like the ear flaps and the long braided tails and a big
Uh,
flower, and that was all just like, I don't know. I would just kind of make as I go. It was just fun to create.
did you follow knitting patterns? Like when you first started doing knitting, did you follow patterns or you just knit?
I would just do it. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, I'll just make a really long scarf and just like keep
Yeah.
going. I really liked how, like it was just I don't even know the word to use. If it was like calming or like methodical.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Methodical, is that the right word? I don't know.
Yes, and I call it like active meditation.
Mhm.
So a lot of like crochet projects and knitting projects, when you find one that's super simple, it does feel like meditation. You can just sit and you keep going. You don't have to, stop your focus to like put a stitch marker in or count your stitches or change over or, all of those things. Um, but I think it's so interesting that a lot of designers did start out by like not wanting to follow patterns, because I didn't want to follow patterns. I was
Oh,
like, I just want to wing it. And I think that like when you start winging it, it empowers you to be like, well, if I can wing it, then I can design,
mhm.
you know?
Yeah, for sure. I think everyone really can. I mean,
Yeah.
like no matter who, like what level you're at, or like what stitches you like to work with, I think anyone can design, like 100%. Every crafter I find is an artist. Like I know a lot of people say it's craft, it's not art, but i I argue with that. I think,
Yeah.
everyone, even if you're doing someone else's pattern, you're putting your own bit into it, right? Like your color
Hmm.
combinations, everyone always changes things up a little bit. So I don't know, I think it's just your artist eye.
And I think that's really interesting coming from you because you have the fine art background. And I would actually love to hear a little bit more about that. Did you study fine art? Did you work in fine art? Like, what was that process for
Like I
you?
didn't go to college or university. I was I was always actively creating, like all
Mm-hmm.
the time. Like in like my toy museum as a kid, I had a section and I had like every type of like craft supply or art supply that you could imagine. Like I was into pottery. I had, you know, all the paints. I would like make my own clothes, like not well. Like,
Ah,
I was like really young,
yeah.
just like sewing stuff, you know, like just to make something. But
And not from patterns,
no,
right?
no, no,
Like,
just from like
yeah.
just myself, you know, just making a mess. But
Yeah.
I started taking it really seriously, like in high school. Like I really got
Mm-hmm.
into it, and I started working at a fine art store, and I had work featured in the store, and then I was in art shows, and I would sell prints, and just I don't know, I loved painting. I love painting so much. Um, I don't know, I worked with acrylic mostly,
Mm-hmm.
but I loved like how I don't know, I could never do the paintings that take like weeks. For me, it's
Mm-hmm.
like very emotional, and you like you're in the zone, and you just kind of like get it done there, and like, I don't know. I just thought it was fun. I loved playing with it,
Yeah.
but
And that was going to be my next question was what medium did you use? And then I would also love to know like how would you describe your style? Like what kind of was it abstract type painting because it was emotional or what was the
oh,
inspiration?
I did a few abstract pieces. I have a lot of my stuff packed away because we recently
Mm-hmm.
moved, and so I don't have everything with me. But there was some abstract. There was slightly like impressionistic, um,
Mm-hmm.
but there I did do portrait a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. It's hard to really pinpoint one type of style. Like there's so many different like styles that I love, and I kind of incorporate everything, I guess, all at once. It's just
Yeah.
whatever I felt in that, that moment. But yeah, it was acrylics and sometimes mixed media, and
Mm-hmm.
I really love the water soluble oils, but
Mm-hmm.
I haven't touched those in a while because designing's kind of,
Yep.
taking up all the time, which I don't complain about, but I kind of miss painting a little bit.
Well, and you said right now you're in a transitional period with moving, which
hmm
has been had an effect on that. So not having the space, and we talked about this a little bit when we chatted, but not having the space to set up a large easel and to have a space for all of your painting really kind of drove you more towards design,
Yeah,
like designing crochet. Is that right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. There was, yeah, I had some commissions on the go at one point, and it was just like there was no space.
Hmm.
We had walls coming down, and our, like our, I don't know how big the square footage was at the time for the house, but it was getting cut down to half, and like, there just wasn't any space for it. So it was packed up, and it was really depressing for a little bit not being able to create until I went back into finding like something else to, to make
Hmm.
until I started crocheting. So yeah, without that creative outlet, I'm a mess. So
Yep.
I'm happy that I, found something that was portable and
Uh-huh.
has that freedom to really kind of play.
I think it's so interesting to hear that because I feel like it is so important for someone who is a creative at heart. You've been creative your whole life, ever since you were really little. Um, Being able to pivot and adapt to find another outlet. And it's the same, there's people who, crochet so much that they either injure themselves, and have to take a break.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think sometimes it can have the positive side of making you try something new, and you never know if you're going to like it, and then you're going to have multiple outlets. So, like, I know for me, if I kind of hit a wall creatively with designing, or if I need a break, if my wrists or my shoulders are like, yeah, you don't need to stay up all night tonight, it's not going to happen, crocheting,
Mm-hmm.
um, then I'll pick up my iPad and I'll, try to do a little doodling on Procreate, like just something that's,
Jealous that you have Procreate. It's so fun.
yeah.
I want an iPad so bad just to get Procreate and just to like to make things. It must be so
So,
fun doing that.
funny story. The only reason that I have Procreate and an iPad was because of the business that Matt started, that my husband started. So when we were not a Mac family, so we have Samsung phones, we don't have iPhones. We always had like I think it was Asus was the laptops that we had.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and never had an iPad. I think I had like a Surface tablet at one time that was awful. Like it was just one of those things where my husband was like, "You don't want to buy this." I was like, "Of course I want to buy this. This is great." And he was right. But we ended up purchasing a Mac for my photography because my laptop was kind of at the point where we needed to replace it. And we were like, okay, why don't we just get a big desktop? Because they're like, it's like the same, you can get the biggest desktop Mac makes for like half the cost of their laptop.
Hmm.
So I was like, we'll just get the desktop, and that was great. But he started his drone business, so doing drone surveys and things. And the best thing that you can have to control the drones is an iPad. So he was like, let's just go ahead and pull the trigger and get one. I'm going to be using it for all my surveys and all this. And he said, is there anything you would want to use the iPad for? And I was like, well, I've heard of this thing called Procreate, that I know you can't get on anything else. And this was right before COVID. And when we got the iPad, he purchased, because it's like $10, you purchase the app, $10, but you have to buy this however expensive the iPads are now. We got this like 3 years ago, and we didn't get a crazy big one. We got, I think, the most affordable one that we could get that would work for what he needed. But I started off just using a cheap little stylus pen, wasn't a stylus pen. It was one of those click pens that had
Oh,
the
yes.
little rubber bubble
Yeah.
on the end. And I really did like it. And I'm pretty sure one of the first couple designs that I made, I just used that. And then we decided, okay, we need to just get the pen, because you have more freedom. The pen is responsive and all of that. But I think it's worth it if you feel like you're going to, if you're going to draw on it every day, it may be worth the investment, and if you can start selling your work, like now I can sell the stickers and sell the apparel, if I'm drawing. So it felt like, even though it was an investment for my business, I feel like it would have been worth it, to get at that point. So buy an iPad.
Do you ever use it for your crochet designs? Have you ever?
No.
No.
Now it's so funny because I used to watch Project Runway. I
Hmm.
loved Project Runway and watching the designers sketch out their designs. I even watched some Samsung. If you buy a Samsung Smart TV, you get all these free channels. Like
Oh,
they
really?
have Samsung TV,
Oh,
and they have a whole Project Runway channel. So
oh,
like it's 24/7 Project Runway.
that's
And
fun.
so I started watching it again, and I loved the designer's style of how they sketched out. So part of me is like, man, I need to start doing that and like sketching out do you sketch your crochet designs?
I started to, but just in like a book. I'm learning how
Mm-hmm.
to get organized. Like it's really hard for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I started doing little sketches, but usually I would just sit down and make something. I was really guilty of not like writing down what I'm doing as I'm doing it. So I spend like, hours trying to like
Mm-hmm.
dissect my work later. But yeah, I want to start drawing. I want to get an iPad just to get, you know, the drawing part, and
Mm-hmm.
I really want to make a reel where like you draw out what you're gonna make, and then boom, there's your crochet item.
Yes. And
That'd be fun.
Procreate automatically saves the history as a video.
Oh,
So
really?
it makes it easy. Yeah. Yeah. So you
Fun.
can like download the video, and then you could easily like have the transition.
You're gonna get me in trouble. I'm gonna have to buy one now.
Well, like I said, you don't need the most expensive one. You could start out with whatever the intro model is right now. We got ours at Walmart. So yeah, so we just found the cheapest place to get it. And I do have to say, ours actually had a glitch in it, where the screen went black.
Oh,
And it was bad. We were like, oh, this is not, Apple completely replaced it. So I
oh,
guess it was a known glitch from that exact model. And we had to send it off, but they sent us a whole new one.
that's
So
good.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I do have, let me see, I had a comment from Stitches by Chrissy says, hi, love testing for both of you. It's so great to see you live together. I know, right?
Hi.
And I think someone else said they also use Procreate. Yes, so Somos, oh, I can't pronounce that. I'm so sorry, but Somos, I see the first part. It says, I also use Procreate. Um, so yeah, I mean, I could see how it could be helpful, not just for people who are artists and drawers, because like I could never use like watercolor, and I have one oil painting that I
Yeah.
completed, um, that I love, but that was always a hard thing for me to try to be creative with painting or drawing or sketching. I have to, I just keep it simple now. Well, I would love to know. So another thing I wanted to ask you about, because you have a lot, how many patterns do you have? Do you know out
You
that
know what? I
you've,
don't know. I actually don't know. I have a stack that I have to grade right now and write up.
hmm
You know what? I should have checked. I honestly have no idea how many have come out in the past couple of years.
yeah, I'll need to go count for you and I'll send you, I'll be like, here's how many you have.
Uh,
But I think that's so interesting because you did just start. When did you release your first pattern?
it was late January 2020.
Yeah.
That was the
So
first.
like you have been busting out the patterns.
Trying to. Yeah.
Yes.
Trying to.
So one
It's
of the things that I wanted to know, because you have created so many items and they are very different. Like you have some bulky items that of course spoke to me because that's all I do. But you also have some that are more intricate and use some of the finer weight yarns. Where do you pull your inspiration from? Like what if you feel, especially if you feel like creatively blocked, what are some of the different things that you do to get inspired and make your designs.
well, I recently like found that staying off social media is one big thing. The whole comparison is hard. Like I don't know, I find I become way more creative when I'm not scrolling on Instagram, as bad as that
hmm
sounds. I don't know, just like blocking off um everything. I don't really know how to explain it. Sometimes just they just pop up. I don't I might find inspiration in watching a movie and like the setting of the movie. Like if it's,
hmm
I love, like the 60s. I've always been like a huge fan of like that time and the 50s. And I'll just little things or just a color, one of the colors of
hmm
yarn or just seeing like the fiber. It would just be like, oh, this would be good in this stitch. And I want to make this because it's kind of a messy process for me. I don't know. I kind of just pull ideas from anywhere. I don't know. Even
hmm
like a cake a decorated a certain way, like it's just
That's
silly.
cool.
It just comes
Yeah,
all over. I don't know if that's really helpful for anyone, but
I think it
I
is.
tend
I think
to,
it encourages people to find inspiration from places they might not expect to. Be open to being inspired by something that, like I think a lot of people do go searching for inspiration. So trying to scroll Instagram or looking on Pinterest or looking at magazines or something like that. But I feel like for you, it's almost more organic because you're just kind of like open to it coming to you, from unexpected places.
yeah, like I find it's, well, for me anyway, it's the best way. Like I don't know, if I start looking at like other crocheted pieces and other designers work or just like pictures that are out there, I tend to feel like I have to do something like that. Like
hmm
not so much as in like copying someone's work, but
hmm
if if all I'm seeing is this one type of stitch that's out there everywhere, I'm going to be like brainwashed and I have to use this stitch, or like I
hmm
don't know, I find it closes off
hmm
like options. I don't know if I'm explaining that right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I think you are. And I think too, the way that you're talking about designing, I think you're setting yourself up to create items that are recognizable because it is coming from you. It's not whatever's trending right now. It's not the newest, hottest stitch. Um, and it creates a space of like, I'm just going to do what I feel I want to do instead of what's out there. And people are going to start recognizing your work because it's not being dictated by everything else that's out there. So I think that's pretty cool.
Thank
Yeah. We had someone comment about your reels, and I do want to
oh
talk about that because you do some really great reels, and I feel like you've been doing them for a while. Like, I do feel like I don't know if that's right or not, but it feels like you kind of jumped on pretty early and they have gotten more. It's almost like you've been able to do even more intricate reels, like as you've, I guess, practiced. But I'd like to hear about that journey with your reels.
okay. So I think the first one I put out was in the summer. Well, actually, no, that's a lie. I put out like a reel. I guess actually I put out reels before I really knew what reels were, so they
hmm
weren't really like done properly. I think like I advertised a sale in my Etsy shop, which was probably not the right place to do it, but um, when I started to do like the actual, what they're really supposed to be, I tried to do it in the summertime, and I definitely fumbled, a lot, but and I was nervous.
Yeah.
So it was hard for me to try to like be creative with what's out there. I was just looking at the trends, like, okay, I'm just going to try to make it work. But
Hmm.
now I have like a vision board for what I want to do. It's kind of
Really?
like I map things out. Like I have actually a booklet where I map like scenes out now. So there's a whole bunch of
That's
ideas
cool.
I have going, and it's literally like
Yeah.
looking at a comic book or like planning movie
That's what I
scenes.
was going to ask, like a
So
comic book. Yeah.
yeah, so that's what I'm starting to do. Like I really want to have fun with them. They're pretty fun. They take a lot of
Yeah.
work, so much work.
Yeah.
And it's still a huge learning curve for me, but I don't know, I think everyone should just jump on. Like I know it's really scary at first. Like
Yeah.
especially if you aren't, in front of the camera often, or taking, pictures of yourself wearing your items, or, if you're
Hmm.
just, I don't know how, like, sorry if I'm rambling. It's
No,
nerve
you're good.
it's nerve-wracking, but I think everyone should try it. Just like get in and have fun with it, because once you're able to kind of like relax, I guess, like
Hmm.
it's really playful. I don't know, and it makes your account grow like crazy. So
Yeah.
um,
Well, and I think it's important to hear that you have fun with it because I think there are a lot of people who are like, "Ugh, I don't want to do these, but I feel like I have to." And I think that's an important message that I try to send to people is you shouldn't do anything that you just absolutely don't want to do. I mean,
yeah,
if it's not fun, like try it, but have fun with it and do it in a way. Don't feel like it has to look like everyone else's. I think both of us had some reels. Like I remember my first reel was before like some accounts didn't have music. So like I didn't have access to music. And so I have this reel of me walking around my backyard and all of the text that I put on there was like, thanks Instagram. This is not any fun because I don't have any music. So maybe one day I can make a reel with music. So yeah, I think you have to have fun with it and find a way that's enjoyable and don't be afraid to like make a crappy reel because we've all done it. We've all made reels that are just kind of like, you know.
yeah. I
Um,
still have my crappy ones. I didn't delete it.
yeah.
So if anyone wants to see my crappy reels on my account, go ahead. It gives you an
Yeah.
idea of, how it
Yeah.
starts.
Yeah. And I would love to know too, because I really struggle. I have not tried to do, I think I did one. I think I did one where I tried to like match up what I was saying with the audio.
Mm,
And I feel like you have done quite a few of those. So like, what's the secret? How do you do that?
okay. Well, definitely, like I practice it. So you just
Okay.
like play it back. So when you set the timer, it will
Hmm.
like you'll hear the audio that you have to do. So you have to kind of like time, I guess time like what you're saying and do it in pieces, but
Hmm.
always leave room for editing it. So
Yeah.
there was one that I did actually, the one where I'm singing, talking about all the beautiful um, line brand jeans yarn that I purchased in the box.
Hmm.
Spending money that I don't have.
Yep.
That one?
Yes.
That one, because sometimes when you go to do the audio, like there's like glitches, right? So
Yep.
you go to say the first sentence, but it's cut off. So no matter what you're
Hmm.
doing to record it, it messes you up. So I learned the audio, and I would put my volume all the way down on my phone. So when I hit record, I just have like I'll be saying it or singing it to myself,
Yeah.
actual song, because the timing wouldn't be accurate. Like it will mess you up completely. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
audios that get cut off when you start recording. So like when I was doing that one, it would pick up on the third word. So when I hit
Uh-huh.
record, it starts off with the third word. So it starts off with like I don't have or money or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's hard to do, but give yourself room to cut the clip out and do
Hmm.
um, don't get discouraged by doing it over and over again. I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's helpful, but
Oh yeah,
so that
definitely.
with some of them, there's
Yeah.
glitches still.
Well, you've worked hard on those because they are good. I love seeing them pop up and I'm like, oh, what is she doing? Um, because I've seen there's one that's trending right now that I saw a bunch that's it's like the guy talking about his ladies. Have you seen
Yes,
those?
yeah.
And I was like, Jodi needs to do that.
I've been wanting to. Yeah, I've been wanting to. I'm like, I'm thinking about doing with
Yeah.
crochet hooks or
Yes.
yarn or patterns. I'm like, I don't know. I've been thinking about it for so long,
Yeah.
but I just haven't got around to it. But every time I watch the ones that pop up in
Hmm.
like my feed, I always laugh, especially when they
Yeah.
start talking about Brianna. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if you guys know the story of why it would be funny, but
Yeah.
I think that's for a
Hmm.
type of talk.
Yeah. Right. But that's awesome. Yeah. Um, okay, let's see. I'm trying to make sure I don't miss anything. I did want to make sure, and let me see what time it is because I don't want to. Okay, we have 30 minutes. We have plenty of time. But I mentioned that we were going to talk about this. So I definitely want to talk about burnout because this is a big deal
Oh,
for
yeah.
any creative, no matter what you're doing, because I think we've all faced it at some point or another in our life. Um, so I would love for you to share a little bit about your first experience with burnout as a designer and kind of what led into that. And then we can kind of talk about what you've done to try to keep that from happening again.
Okay. Well, I kind of hit burnout pretty much right away in the beginning. I started putting way too much pressure on myself. And like our conversation before, like I was telling you how I felt like I needed more patterns like right away because I wouldn't be looked at as credible. Like if
Mhm.
someone looks at my Etsy shop and they're like, oh, there's only one pattern here. Like, why would I want
Yeah.
to buy from her or why would I want to try it out? Because clearly like it to me like I felt like everyone would look at me saying you don't know what you're doing and imposter syndrome was like
Yeah.
so
When can
big,
you actually
it's
call yourself a designer? I had that same question, like when can I actually call myself a crochet designer? You know?
huh. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had this conversation with someone actually a little while ago because
Mhm.
there's all these scammer websites popping up recently, and like I've just contacted by a few like really kind people just to let me know that they're stealing my photos and
Mhm.
saying that they're taking my pattern and like selling it as their own. Like they're circulating everywhere, and I was joking with another designer saying like, oh, well, I guess I can officially call myself one if, like my work's being stolen and put
Yeah.
up, like all over the place. Like, so I'm like, like it sucks that it's happening.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was like, okay, I guess I made it. I don't know. But it's
We're gonna look at the bright side.
yeah, that my work was worth stealing, I guess. I don't know. but, but
Yeah.
no, but seriously, they're like, when can you can call yourself a designer as soon as you make your first piece. Like, honestly, like
Yeah.
for anyone diving into it, don't discourage yourself and take it slow. Like, go at your pace. Well, not necessarily slow, but whatever, is comfortable for you. Don't put crazy pressure on yourself because it can be, it can be hard, especially when, um, there's some people aren't very friendly when it comes to people using similar stitches or like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
there's definitely room for everyone to make new pieces, but I know there is a couple people that have experienced hate from the
Mm-hmm.
community if they're like, oh, they stole this pattern. And theft does happen. Theft does
Mm-hmm.
happen with patterns, like it does, but um I, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but
No, you're good.
honestly, there's I find people look at inspiration and theft in similar, like on the same, they tend to put on the same line, which I don't think it should necessarily be. Like there's, um, I don't know, there's a big difference. Sorry, I'm rambling. I am going off on a
No,
tangent.
you're
I don't
good.
even know where I'm going anymore.
No, I
um,
understand, and I think
save me.
what I what I'm taking from what you're saying, because this has happened to me a couple of times where I would get this kind of, I would see a picture of something or I would see something happening, and I'll go like way back to when I was doing craft shows. There was a girl who made jewelry. We became really close because we would have a craft show seats next to each other and talk the whole time. And it was great having like a craft show buddy, we would do the circuits. And
That's fun.
um, she learned to crochet. So she used to only make jewelry, but then she learned to crochet. And I like told her, you should use bulky yarn and you should do this. And um, she told me that she had started making cowls, like big chunky cowls, like what I make. But she wasn't bringing them to shows. You know, she was like selling them to family and friends. And I invited her to a show that was like invite only. It was a very small show, but a good one, and one where you kind of have to be, someone has to say, like, you should invite this person to be at the show. And so I invited her to be at the show. And she brought scarves that they weren't exactly like mine, but it was like the same yarn, same hook size, I think a different stitch, but it was like, same stuff.
Yeah.
Priced at half of what I priced mine for.
Oh.
So I remember seeing when the line of people started coming through, someone stopped at her booth, bought all of the scarves she had as like family
Oh,
gifts for
wow.
friends. And then, of course, like skipped past my table because, they'd already bought everything they needed. And in that moment, like I was like, I cannot believe that this girl came to this show and brought these scarves.
Oh,
And I didn't say anything because we actually weren't next to each other. Like she was down the road a little bit, but I was kind of fuming a little bit. And then as the show went on, I realized that people weren't doing well at the show. So like I had made quite a few sales. I always did well at that show, but there was a girl down the way who had some art prints. I bought a print from her, but she was like, I don't know if I would come back because I didn't do very well. Same thing with the girl that I'd invited. She was like, the scarves were like the only thing I sold. And when I heard that, I was like, how could I be upset that like, like this person is just trying to support themselves and do something, it wasn't theft. Like she didn't make the exact same scarf and she didn't do it maliciously. She
yeah.
made those on her own. I didn't have a pattern out for them. She didn't make them from my pattern and sell them. Um, and so I think it's just taking a step back when stuff like that happens and really looking at whether or not you feel like that person did it maliciously or if you feel like, they were inspired by your designs and take that as a compliment, because that definitely happened to me too. That was the only other time that it was really iffy because someone had pattern tested for me very early on and made a sweater that was very similar to one of my first sweaters, but it wasn't all the same techniques. It was the same shape and the same style. And I was like, I do that. I'm inspired by shapes and styles. And, you just have to breathe and be like, is this really a copy or is this someone who is inspired? They put their own spin on it, which is what we should all want. This is a wonderful community. And the only way that we can keep it strong is to root each other on, support each other, reach out if you have a concern, like if you
Yeah.
really are concerned, reach out, but I really think the majority of people in this community are good and kind and supportive and just want to find their own way, to make it and to do something with fiber arts and crochet and knitting and all of that. But that's what I felt from what you were saying is, you just have to don't lead with that negative emotion. Take a moment before you because it's like you said, it does happen. I haven't had a pattern stolen. I'm not looking too hard, but I haven't had anyone come back and say like this brand is selling something. Cause I've seen that too. Like some of these overseas brands are like creating sweaters that look just like a sweater that someone designed, so I know that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I have definitely had, specifically my hooker tarot card is all over the internet on scammy t-shirt websites, like exactly.
Such a
So
beautiful
it
thing.
happens. And but it happens. And it's figuring out what can I actually, because some of those, there's nothing I can do about it. Like those websites are so scammy, I don't want to pull them up on my computer to try to,
Right.
you
Right.
know. So yeah, I think it's just, I get where you're coming from, you know. Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you made sense of my rambling. I don't just
Well, and I hope that makes sense. Was that kind of part of what you were going for too?
yeah, trying to say. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't communicate well. I don't socialize like at all, like regularly. I like so I don't know. I have to learn how to speak again. I don't know. Mm.
Well, and that brings me into too. So you have three children,
Hmm.
and
Yes.
I don't have any children, so I like hearing from people who have kids. How is that how do you manage that? So you do design a lot, and you have a lot of time with your kids. So what are some of the things that you do to manage that for people out there who may have children and are wanting to do a little bit more with designing or crocheting or any of that?
Um, ooh, it's hard. It's well, my kids are pretty young still, so they're kind of just used to me like
Hmm.
spending time with yarn, and having to be busy. But I managed to get my middle like really interested in crocheting, and like I was telling you earlier, how she was able to like freehand some mittens, and like she can't read patterns at all right now.
Yeah.
She's really little still, but it's nice to see like to include them, to like
Hmm.
give them a little station next to you, and like some of your scrap bits, let them play
Yeah.
around and see whatever they come up with, whether it's just like cutting up the pieces and like
Hmm.
creating their own like art beside you, or like actually using it with a hook and playing around. I find that really helps keeping them busy and keeping them included. um, it's always nice. They do get excited when I make them things, so
Yeah.
when I do like gift them a little like item or accessory, it helps like they feel included and
Yeah.
excited. I am working on other stuff, but there's definitely times where it's difficult. It's really difficult because
Yeah.
I really need silence when I'm grading patterns. So
Yep. Hmm.
I can't get sidetracked. I have like bad ADHD, so my brain is going like a million miles a minute. And when it's time for me to sit down and grade a pattern, it's time for me to do it. Like I cannot
Yeah.
let myself get sidetracked, or else like all my stuff is out the window.
Yeah. Do you
But
have
my
any
kids,
specific do you have any specific techniques when you have to focus like that that help you focus? Because I think, a lot of people struggle with like ADD and ADHD, and pattern designing may feel like it's out of reach because of that focus that's needed. So, like, are there things that you've had to learn to do to help you focus?
yeah, absolutely. I've learned to just go with how I'm feeling and not force the thing that I
Hmm.
have to. So like it's hard for me to schedule things.
Hmm.
And like because of it. But when like I have really bad brain fog, or my mind is just racing too hard, it's like, okay, right
Hmm.
now I'm just gonna sit and actually just crochet and not try to calculate and not try to do anything major. And then when I feel like good and like I can focus on something, then do the grading. And I also find that having like a little bit of chocolate like helps, like that little bit of caffeine. Like I can't take the medication because it's a stimulant, and
Yeah.
there's other issues why I can't.
Yeah.
And like I can't have coffee and all that stuff, but like
Hmm.
having that tiny little, like I mean, like a
Yeah.
couple chocolate chips for me is like a
Yeah.
cup of coffee. So
Yeah.
when I'm able to have like that little jolt, that really helps clear out all the other noise that I have in my head. So um, I don't know if that really helps. I'm getting sidetracked. I feel
Yeah.
like every question you ask me, I'm just like
It's
off.
great information though. You're good. Yeah,
Uh,
no, it's great. It's great. I know, and I'm interested because for me, when I was in college, I struggled very badly with focusing. And I had like this, because you couldn't just wait until you were ready to study, And
yeah,
so I would lock myself in a room, like so our dorm rooms had like study halls at the end, and like little half rooms that had a table and chairs.
mhm.
And I would lock myself in that room so like nobody could come in, because usually you're supposed to share the space, and I wouldn't share the space. I would lock the door, and I would listen to instrumental jazz. Couldn't have any
Oh,
words. Like it had to be completely instrumental, because if it had words, I would listen to the words. And so I couldn't
yeah,
focus.
yeah.
Um, and that was pretty much the main thing. But then I was taking medication. So I had
Oh,
Adderall, and it was prescribed. So anyone listening, I did, I went to my doctor, and it was really small amount. So like you were talking about how you have a little piece of chocolate. I think I was taking like a 5 milligram tablet. So it was very small amount. Um, but I would take that, I would lock myself in the room, I would put my headphones in, and I would stay there until I was done. You know. But it's always interesting to hear how people cope and deal with that, because you find mechanisms that work, and you find things that help.
mhm.
Um, as you deal with it, you know?
Yeah, yeah, it can be hard though. I started following a few like ADHD accounts, and that really like
Hmm.
makes a difference. Like look it up on Instagram, and it really like helps if anyone else is like struggling, because there's so
Yeah.
much I'm learning it still that like I didn't even think to like put those things together to like make things help. But I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, and people are talking about things more now, I think,
Mm-hmm.
because of social media. Like a lot of these issues that people struggle with, there are entire communities that come together and share tips and tricks and strategies. Like I know a lot of people that struggle with anxiety and depression. And
Yeah,
people are willing to talk about their journeys and talk about their medications that they're on, talk about, and that used to be so taboo. And I think now it's empowering for people, and they don't feel so stigmatized when they realize that there's something that they may be struggling with.
yeah, yeah. And with I don't want to talk about this COVID, but
Yeah,
there's so many
I
people that
know.
have so much anxiety from
Yeah.
from it. I can't speak, but like it's circulating a lot. And when it comes to ADHD, sorry to backtrack on it,
Yeah.
just there's a lot of times that women do not get diagnosed till way later in life, because women with ADHD have completely different symptoms than men, and it's like usually the stereotypical like boy with ADHD bouncing off the walls, but that's not really
Hmm.
how it is. It's like an
Yeah.
overactive mind, and like
Yes.
I don't know. It sorry, I didn't mean to go back to it,
No, you're
uh,
good.
but there is a lot more talk about it, which is important. And
Yeah, I just think it's helpful. And that's with a lot of things in life. I think if you're on this live or you're watching this replay, I think it's really important that if there's anything you're struggling with, it's finding communities that, because they're out there. You're not the only one going through what you're going through. And I think that's important to know, because once you realize that, you realize that there's support and there's people out there that you can talk to and connect with and create relationships with. And um, sometimes it can be even better when it's online than trying to find a support group in person,
mm-hmm.
that's scheduled. And, this way you just have that there and you know that you can find, I mean, Facebook groups has been really cool for me. Like, I feel
Yeah,
like there's so many great Facebook groups. Like, I don't like Facebook. I'm on there now more than I used to be, but it's because of the groups that I've joined. And I think that there are social media can have a lot of negative things, but I think one of the positives is this connection and is this ability to connect with people that you would never have met in person, and create some really great relationships,
yeah,
you know.
absolutely. Yeah, especially in the fiber world, there's a
Yes,
lot of great
exactly.
community. There's like a million crochet groups that you can
Yeah,
connect with. I have some really wonderful women
yeah.
um, on that journey, which is
Hmm.
fun. That's good.
So we did skip over a little bit, talking about, so you were talking about how you hit creative burnout really early because you put a lot of
Oh,
pressure on yourself early on.
yes.
Um, and you said a lot of that just came from yourself because it was the imposter syndrome. And I felt the same way. I had like one or two patterns in my shop for like 2 years, before I really decided I want to do it, that I wanted to design. I knew I wanted to get the first pattern out. I was like, this is great, but I didn't really want to be a designer at that time. Um,
It's a big
but I would
commitment.
love, yes, exactly. And I want to talk a little bit about that too. I need to see how much time we have. I'm telling you, I'm going to ramble too. Oh, we have a little bit of time. So what are some of the things that you do now because you got through the burnout, you're designing now again, but how did you kind of push past that? And what do you do now to try to keep yourself from getting into that mindset again where you are, burnout?
Well, it still does happen for me. I had a time in December where I tend to take too much on, because like
Hmm.
um, I don't make and sell things anymore. So
Hmm.
the holidays I get asked, by family and friends, and
Yep.
I can't say no to people. So I
Hmm.
just take on way more than I should be, and um, that that contributes to burnout for me, 100%. But now like I have a lot on my plate at the moment. Like just in terms with the workload of, I think I have like maybe 7 patterns that have to be graded, and you know, there's a lot of steps. I'm really trying to focus on one thing at a time, because I know, like,
Hmm.
I remind myself of the workload that has to, you know, happen. The whole checking all the boxes when it comes to, okay, I made the item, I have to grade the item, I have to type up the pattern, I have to
Hmm.
schedule, you know, testers, I have to do photos, I have to, you know, do proper promotions.
Etsy listings,
There's
website listings. Yep.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
talking about the items, I suck at that. I tend to push that off so much. Like when you're doing your Ravelry listings and like describing
Hmm.
stuff in the Etsy listing, I hate doing that. So I tend to put it off, but I have to force myself into it. But yeah, to avoid burnout. Well, I keep a sketchbook for like design ideas that I have. So, because obviously, like my mind works faster than my hands can. So
Hmm.
I have like a stack of stuff and little miniature notes with every design. So obviously, I can't do it all at once. So I can always go back to it and do piece by piece.
Hmm.
I find that helps, but um, I don't. I guess just stopping when
Yeah.
like you feel the burnout coming on, just allow yourself to stop, because if you keep pushing through it, like, and still trying to, you know, keep going when you physically can't anymore, and
Hmm.
like and know the signs for yourself, like when you know, you just, you know, when you're tired, you have to
Hmm.
rest. It's hard. I find like so many designers talk about how they have so many ideas and they want to do so many things all the time, and it's just too much, especially when, you know, you have a personal life or you're working, you know, an outside
Hmm.
job, or you know,
Yep.
your family, or you know, things happen. You just have to pace yourself. I don't know if that
Yeah.
helps or answers the question, but it's, you have to be self-aware, I guess, just to try to avoid the
Hmm.
burnout, because
Yeah.
it it screws you out. Like when I get burnout really bad, I tend to shut down from social media, from everything
Yep.
for like a month or so, and
Hmm.
then imposter syndrome creeps up really bad, and then I start doubting everything I've done, and then I start putting pressure on myself to perform like I did before, and it's
Yeah.
just, it's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. I'm still learning how to juggle everything, but it's it's hard. I think everyone goes through the burnout though.
Yeah. And I think talking about it like this is, I love these videos and I love doing these lives and I love having these chats because I think that I think we forget to share this part on social media because there's so much else to talk about. It's not that designers are hiding the difficult parts of it. It's that there's so much, I'll have, okay, I'm releasing this today. I'm doing this today. Like I need to talk about this today. And sometimes you get so focused on the things that you need to share that you just kind of forget, like I should probably talk about this because this is relatable. This is, what's happening in my life outside of just the fact that I have a new pattern releasing or the fact that I need to do a new reel. And so I think these videos are great for that, for having just that time to like talk about some of the other things that happen.
Yeah, for,
Um, and I think for burnout, it's learning to say no,
mm-hmm.
even to
Yeah,
family and friends,
I'm
which is
so bad at that.
really, yes. And I think when I first started turning down finished pieces, it was really hard because I was like, that's money that I'm just saying no to, you know? But once I said it and they were just like, oh, okay, I understand, it was really empowering at that point of like, yeah, I don't want to do that and I'm not going to do it, you know? Um, and then I think, like you said, with designing, I started setting goals for myself in a way that didn't feel too pressured. So, like when I set a goal for myself, it's not like if I don't hit this goal, I'm going to be upset with myself. It was more of like a soft goal, I guess would be the right way to put it. And for me, I set a goal to release a pattern a month, which is not a lot, and I think for people who have all these ideas, like you have so many ideas that are already sketched out and ready to be graded, and it can be difficult to um, not want to release everything so quickly. But
Yeah.
sometimes it can be great practice for knowing you're going to have moments in your life when you don't have time to create and you don't have time to do a new design or to be crocheting, when you're in these times of kind of not turmoil, but like other things are keeping you busy, like your family or moving or, life changes. And sometimes having those designs in your back pocket of like, I'm not going to grade these until, a couple months from now, then it kind of gives you a little bit of padding for the times that you are too busy to create new things, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
that would be, that's what I started doing with I have 4 stickers right now that I designed on Procreate that I've ordered from Sticker Mule that are not released to the public
Oh no.
because I'm hiding them to say, you
Uh-huh.
know what? In a couple of months, I'm going to have no ideas for what to design on Procreate because I have those months where I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to design. I can release one of those stickers because nobody's
I'm
seen it
excited.
yet. Yeah, I know. But that's what I feel like that has helped me practicing a little bit of patience because I'm one of those people and I talked about this in my last post. You mentioned how like you're kind of 50-50 on when you share things.
Yeah. I
Yes.
forced myself to do that though, because I would overshare like
Yeah.
everything. Okay, I did this
Yep.
photo. I love it. I'm posting it. Like everything. Look what I
Yes.
made. I made it. I'm gonna take pictures and like post it, even though it's not graded yet and like pattern's not coming out. But I
Yes.
need to share it. But I had to
Yep.
slow down because it's
Hmm.
then I find I am pressured to like get it
Yes.
done. Right. Sorry, I didn't mean to
Yep.
cut you off there, but
No, but that's what I'm saying. It gives yourself kind of it gives you space, because you're like, once I started doing photos in bulk, it was such a game changer because I was saving things for later so that on those days where I'm overwhelmed or I have too much else on my plate, I'm not going to go outside and take pictures. I don't have anything to share. I have all of these things that I've saved and I can just go back through and like, what am I feeling today? It can be an old picture, but if the emotions in the picture match what I'm feeling, it's easier to post that day because then I can just, do that. And when I realized how helpful that was, that's when I put that mentality into my designs of like, I have this design ready, but I don't want to release it yet because I'm going to need that later when I'm not feeling super creative, Um, not so much with patterns because I'm so much slower with patterns when it comes to designing them. I think I only have the pattern that I just released for testers is the only one that's on deck. So like I'm a lot slower on the process of designing.
well, you
Um,
have so much things going on. Like you have, you got a lot. There's your beautiful hook, your
and
clothes, and there's a lot of other aspects that you're doing for your business. It's not just designing. So,
that's true.
like,
Yeah. But give yourself space. We all need space to breathe and, you know, breathe, to
yeah,
breathe and breathe and breathe.
sometimes though, I don't know. I'm learning. I'm struggling with it, and it's hard. I get too excited about things, and I'm go big or
Yeah.
go home, all in,
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
So
And I
that's
think
just
we
my
all deal
personal.
with that. Yeah. I think we all deal with that in our own way. It may not be exactly the same, but I think we all struggle with imposter syndrome of like, what can we really call ourselves in this community? Are we a designer? Are we a tester? Are we a hobbyist? Are we a side hustle? Like it's like we are forcing ourselves to put ourselves in a box, and then you start to feel this pressure of staying in the box or getting out of the box and getting in a different box. Um, and I think the biggest thing for me has just been, reminding myself to focus on the community. Like when I get overwhelmed, I go back to these relationships that I've formed because I think all of us have these specific relationships, people who've maybe followed us for a really long time and have supported us the whole way. And like going back to those anchor relationships that have formed that remind us why we're doing it, remind us why we're pushing ourselves, remind us why it's worth it, you know.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really good advice. That's really good to do for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
I never thought about doing that. That's smart. That is
Yeah.
smart. I saw this post a few days ago. Someone did a reel, and it was this lady. She was saying, I think everyone needs to remind themselves that it's okay to change your mind. It's okay,
Hmm.
like allow yourself to do something different and change your mind. Like whether it comes to if you were testing, and you wanted to design, it's
Hmm.
fine to change your mind, step out of the box. Or if you
Yeah.
were designing, you want to go back to doing something else, or like your style. If you were just doing one certain thing, a type of whatever, like a certain yarn or a certain look, and just like switch over because
Yeah.
I don't know, being pressure on like I have this certain look and this is me, like being I
Yeah.
don't know, finding your own like
Yeah.
I had a hard time with that. Like earlier when I was posting, I felt like I always had to look a certain way in my photos. And like my
Yeah.
hair was like crazy long and
Hmm.
that was never really like a look of mine like growing up. But I felt like pressure from Instagram, like you have to like have your nose contoured a certain way and like your makeup done a certain way, your hair done a certain way. And I felt like I couldn't really sell my stuff unless I was. And
Yeah.
then I took scissors to my bathroom, like this isn't me anymore. Like I felt like
Yeah.
things were genuine in my pictures, and then I'm like I'm gonna allow myself to like be me and like change
Yeah.
things. I don't know if that I'm
Yeah.
going off on another tangent, like rambling,
No,
but
it's good. It's good. And I think it takes time to really find yourself in this world, especially when you're learning a new craft, because when you're learning a new craft, you're having to follow other people's videos, look at other people's stuff. Um, it took me a long time to get my Instagram feed to where it is now and my designs to where they are now. And like choosing to do these crazy colors. And, I remember when I first started out in the Instagram world with the fiber artists, the big thing, and it still is a big thing for a lot of accounts, are having these perfectly, photographed neutral pictures, like the top down lay flat, beautiful lay flats, and these beautifully paired neutral colors, that just, and sometimes pops of color, but earth tones. And I was kind of drawn to that, but it never felt natural. I would try to recreate images from other people's feeds, which then turned it into like, this is never good enough. It never looks just like theirs. But that's because I was trying to be like them instead of just owning what I wanted. But that took a long time. I mean, this is, I don't know how long I've been on Instagram, but it's been years. It's been years of trying to figure out how I wanted my stuff to look,
yeah,
Um,
I totally relate to what
and
you're saying. The same thing,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So it takes time. And that's why people who struggle, who are like, my account's not growing, I'm like, it just takes time. It takes time to find yourself, to figure out, when I first started out, I wasn't showing my face. Like if you guys scroll way, way back in my feed, I'm not on there, So that's a big change that now it's like, it's just me. And so figuring out what works for you and the style of photos you like. I mean, most of my photos now are very similar in style. I sit the same way because it's easy. I take pictures of myself, and I'm sure it's not easy to take pictures of yourself. You have to figure out what works for you.
Yeah, that's the
Um,
learning curve doing the photography side, but I mean it's natural for
yeah,
you. You have so much training in it and experience, it's
it's
definitely
interesting because when I used to get my husband to help me take pictures, and I felt very awkward in front of the camera. Um, but I think now, because now I do it with Bluetooth. So now I have a camera that Bluetooths to my phone. I can see what my camera sees on my phone. So actually, if you look at some of my pictures, I may be looking at my phone, or you may see my phone like on the ground in the picture because I can't crop it out because I didn't push it far enough out, but I'm looking at what my camera's looking at.
huh.
And it feels more natural to pose because I'm posing, I'm watching myself. I can kind of see what's happening. Whereas if someone else has the camera in their hand, so like my husband, I don't know when he's going to snap the photo. I don't know how it looks. I don't know if I need to take 6 more pictures to try to, get, centered in the camera. So that has helped a lot with me feeling, I don't feel rushed. I don't feel pressured. Um, and I've kind of figured out how to frame myself so that these photo shoots, when I do go take them and batch pictures, they don't take as long, because I kind of know my key poses that I can do, and then I'm good. But it takes
Yeah.
time figuring out I'm sure with you again, like your reels, it's probably taken a while to kind of find. Now you probably have your spaces where you know your lighting's good. You know how far away from the camera you need to be. Like you get used to the kind of key elements of making the photo shoots work. I would guess. I could be wrong.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, in the house right now, there's terrible lighting. So I had to buy some lights off of Amazon, like these big,
Hmm.
huge lights, which I'm still not super happy with. I don't know. It's still hard, but yeah, there's definitely like some type of formula to like every
Yeah.
time there's a photo shoot. Like I know certain angles and like,
Yep.
you know, which side looks better, like
Yeah.
you know, like how to just get the shots like to look more flattering opposed to, you know, because it's all about angles. Oh my goodness. Like
Yeah.
you could be off by like just a little bit in your angle and like yee, there goes your photo. I
Hmm.
find, I don't know, for me anyway, just but I don't have a
Yeah.
photography background, so I
Well,
mean I
and I
just
think I think some of it is, and it's funny talking about this because I don't want anyone on the live to think it's like, oh, well, these pictures have to be perfect. And it's not that they have to be perfect. It's some of it for me, it's about the fact that I don't want to spend my entire day trying to take the perfect picture. So you do figure out ways to, it makes your life easier. You know, when you're trying to run a business, you have to streamline.
yeah.
And that's why you figure out like, okay, this is how I know that. And you want to like what you put out there. You want to like how you look. You want to feel like it's you. So like when you said when your angle's off, we all have preferences of how we're photographed, of how we look in a picture. We want to feel like it's true to how we see ourselves. Um, and I'm the same way. There's certain angles. I deleted like 6 photos from my photo shoot yesterday because my angle's like this and I could see like my chin was doing this. And I was like, I don't really, no, I'm good. I'm gonna, stick the neck out a little bit more, but we want to look a certain way. We want to feel good about our pictures. And, we learn over time, if you're taking a lot, you can streamline it and you figure out what's easier, to how you want to pose and how you want to look in the pictures. But, yeah, we are off on a tangent, but that's okay.
I've learned how to hide my ends really well. That's one thing. Like
Yes.
that, like I don't want to sew them in. I'm just gonna like tuck them here and tuck them there, and it's like yeah, learning angles for that because like pretty much all my stuff has like all their ends. Like this sweater of mine. Oh my gosh, like this, I love it, and I've worn
Yeah.
it so many times, but
And it still has the ends.
are
Yeah.
you kidding?
Hmm.
The whole inside, like
Oh my
actually,
God.
yeah, I didn't carry the yarn in the first time I made this one. This was like my
Yeah.
first go at this design. So I didn't carry it through and I just like cut and like joined yarn. I'm like, why did I do
Yeah.
that myself? Because the arms, every single row, the book, everything
Ah,
has like the ends. But in one of the reels that I just did, if you look closely, you can see I did a little bit of a boo-boo because like there's bing
yeah.
like sticking out in the back.
You totally need to turn that sweater inside out, wear it for a photo shoot and be like, this is just reality, you guys. And say
Yes.
how long you've had it. Say how long you've had that sweater finished. And that's the reality of the situation. I've got a vest that's the same way. I've had it now for at least a couple months, and I have no intention right now on weaving those ends in. I'm on to the next thing.
I know. It
It's
takes so
been
much time.
photographed.
Like for somebody else, if I'm making something for someone else, I'll make it perfect. But when it comes
Yeah.
to my own thing, I'm like, ah, it's good enough. Like,
Yeah.
I
If
mean,
I ever gift it, maybe I'll tuck them in. Yeah.
yeah. But it's fun. Ah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. Let's see. Yeah, because I think we're over by a little bit, but we can totally do this again if you want to. We can do this. We could have like an interview on your channel if you want to.
Yeah.
But let everyone know before we go, let everyone know where they can find you because I know you're on YouTube now too. You have a website, you have a YouTube, you have an Etsy, you have all that, but also let us know what's coming up. Like if you have anything new and exciting that you're working on or
Okay.
doing.
Yeah, well, I just started the YouTube account, so I have a lot in the works to get more out there, but
Hmm.
yeah, it's still new. You can just search me under Lambent Crochet and I'll pop up. My website, lambentcrochet.com, it's still new. I've done it all by myself, so
Woo-woo.
I have to like go back and redesign, I think. But yeah, I'm working on blog posts and it's going to
Hmm.
be like some free patterns and some just talking about like what's coming up for
Yeah.
design. Um, for designs coming up. I have this one
I
that's
love that so
being
much.
tested right now. Uh,
Yeah. And it has ribbing on the bottom. Do I see ribbing on the
oh
bottom?
yes, there's ribbing.
Yeah. Oh, that's
It's
cool.
so cozy. Yeah, that's one in testing. This one's about to be released, and I have a tutorial
Oh,
coming up.
that's so cute.
So this is the long sleeve version, but also comes with a short sleeve. And
Is that the diamonds design? Does it
yeah,
say, is it
yeah,
Lucy's Diamonds?
yes, yes, you
Yeah.
know it. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you for checking out. Yeah,
Yeah.
Lucy's Diamonds for this one here. Oh gosh, what else is in my pile? I have like a secret stash.
Oh, secrets.
Oh, okay, I'll show you one. I'll show you one. I vowed I was never going to show anybody.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah.
I'm really excited about these ones, but where is it? Let's see. Oh, I think I have it in this pile. Sorry, I have piles all over the place. Literally, they're everywhere. Okay, come on, let's go. Where is it? Where is it? Sorry, guys, bear with me. Oh, here we go. I found it. Oh, and then I have other ones coming out. Oh, I just found like a whole other stack of. Oh, maybe. Okay.
You got them under your bed too? Yeah, stack under the bed. Yeah.
I have them everywhere. Oh, I'm nervous to show you guys this because I really.
Oh, no, you're good.
It's a really special design for me. So it looks kind of. This is a beautiful raglan top.
Oh, yeah.
This is the front and has like beautiful ribbing, but if you turn around the back, this is where it gets really special. So there's a beautiful necktie, and it's nice and it has this gorgeous drape. And
oh my gosh, is that an open back? Like it's open in the back?
just at the top,
Oh, that's so cool.
It stops before your bra strap, so you can still wear a bra comfortably.
Yeah.
A beautiful tie, and this is
that's wonderful.
I'm coming out with the spring. I have like a whole line
That's
based on this
fantastic.
kind of fabric. So,
And what yarn is that?
this is my Lambent jeans obsession.
And what size yarn? What weight is that?
This is a 4, so it's worsted, and it's an acrylic blend. Like no, it's actually 100% acrylic. So I thought it had polyester in it, but it doesn't. But it is so soft.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I have a few things coming out with this. There's
That's
another
lovely.
one I'll show you, but it's still not ready enough to show you.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
But
yeah, the only thing I'm working on is, if I can even get this with my headphones on, I'm probably going to drop this hook. So the one that I have in testing right now is for a size 7 weight, but it really only matches gauge if you use a fluffy 7 weight, like a Chanel. Chanel. And so I want to do the same exact pattern, but for a gauge for non-fluffy size 7 yarn, because there's size 7s that aren't fluffy like that, and the gauge is smaller. And so I bought this Lion brand Velux, I think is the giant Velux.
So pretty.
So that's super colorful, but it's literally going to be the same design. It's just I had to alter the stitch counts for all the sizes because the gauge is so different for the yarn that's not the Chanel fluffy.
It's crazy how different gauges will be, right? Like depending on what yarn you're using. We're having such a battle in one of my recent tests. Like it's so hard to like with different brands because some people don't have access to certain brands when they are doing testing, but it's just I was telling someone like going into like a clothing store, like every shop is different.
Women's jeans.
Yeah, exactly.
Yarn is just like women's jeans. You don't know till you try it on. And I mean trying it on your hook versus trying it on your body. And I do a lot of my testers, and I need to do this because I keep saying I'm going to do it, but I wanted to start including the wraps per inch for the yarn I used. Because I feel like that's something that I keep getting asked to do, because then it's really easy, because then they can test the wraps per inch to make sure that the yarn they purchase is going to be the same. Because you can bring a little wraps per inch tool into the store with you, if you need to.
That's so smart.
So I may try to do that, because I think that would help, because that Chanel yarn, it's like just over 2 wraps per inch. Like it's so fluffy. But then this Velux yarn is like maybe 2.5. So it's like just enough of a difference to, throw off your gauge by a lot, So, yeah.
Huge difference.
But okay, well, we'll chat forever if I don't close down the live. But anytime you want to chat, let me know because this was really fun. And I feel like it was really easy for us to chat. We probably could stay on here for another hour.
Probably.
And for anyone who's watching, this will be on my Instagram, my IGTV, and I will also be uploading it to YouTube. So it will live there forever, as well. So yeah, thanks for joining, Jodi. It was so good to chat with you.
It was so nice.
And we'll definitely do it again at some point.
Sounds good.
So
Bye, guys.
yeah,
Thanks for
have a
joining.
great day. Bye, everybody.
Bye.